Well, hey there, everyone. It's Mrs. Acero, and I'm here with another First Chapter Friday. I'm so excited for the month of December, like probably all of you are. It's such a beautiful time of year with winter approaching and the winter holidays that are upon us. And the book that I would like to share with you today is a kind of a little bit of a twist on an old classic, and it's called Bah Humbug. It's a magical retelling of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, and it is by Michael Rosen. Let's hear a little bit about the book before we get started. What a Scrooge! Harry Gruber has the starring role in his school's production of A Christmas Carol, but his work-obsessed father cannot seem to put his cell phone down long enough to watch. As the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future take the stage, Harry's father must face some ghosts of his own. Will the story's message of holiday love reach his distracted heart? So before we begin, I just want to make sure that you have a copy of your First Chapter Friday sheet. It is available for free. I linked it in the video description, and you can download it and just take a few notes, maybe keep it in your reader's notebook, and this way when you're ready for a new read, you'll have something to refer to. Okay, so let's get started with Bah Humbug. Chapter 1. There's just a tiny little picture that I'll show you here. Your Scrooge mask? Ray Gruber yelled as the family climbed into the car. Your Scrooge mask, Harry? I have no idea where it is. I'm just guessing. He switched to his sarcastic voice. Let me see. I just wonder if it's exactly where you left it. Harry Gruber felt himself shrink under his father's words. He had only been allowed to bring the mask home because he had pleaded with Miss Cavani to have it overnight so he could practice some Scrooge expressions in the mirror. He loved seeing himself turn from somebody no one noticed, an 11-year-old guy with cheeks that were really annoying, he thought, too wide one day, too long the next, into a mean, crabby, whiny old man whom hundreds of people would be staring at in a show, all done with what his drama teacher called a half mask. It covered his forehead, eyes, and most of those annoying cheeks and gave him a new, narrow, slightly twisted nose. And yet underneath that was his own mouth, somehow looking like a new, not his own, very old mouth. How amazing was that? In front of the mirror, he had practiced sneering, cackling, bullying, being shocked, being afraid, being regretful. What you feel, Harry, we feel, Miss Cavani had said, but we have to see it, dear. See it in your face and in your shoulders. That was a challenge. How do you show how you feel in your shoulders? But now, oh rats, he had left the mask back in the house somewhere, no idea where, and this had annoyed Dad again. Why am I so good at annoying Dad? Harry wondered. He looked up at the street lamp, throwing its light on them. Wouldn't it be great if every time you felt bad, you could turn yourself into a thing? Like the street lamp, being useful and never feeling bad, just standing there throwing light on this street of townhouses. Dad's voice interrupted his thoughts. And I'm not going to ask why, in the name of the stars above, your school thought it was a good idea to do a Christmas crummy carol on the night before Christmas. If they were going to do anything on the night before Christmas, it should have been the night before crummy Christmas. Ha! Harry hadn't waited to hear the whole speech and had scuttled back into the house to hunt down the mask. His mom had switched off the lights as they were leaving, so now he had a touch of heart-hopping as his own shadow, cast by the street lamp reaching into the house through the window, chased him up the stairs. Ray, said Harry's mother, Lisa, in the most soothing voice she could conjure up, but it came out as a voice that sounded angry, that she had to try and make soothing. She glanced at herself in the mirror on the back of the car's visor and moved a lock of her hair onto her forehead. I'm ready, said Ray, sitting down heavily in the driver's seat. We can't go, Ray, until Harry's got his Scrooge mask, so we're not ready, are we? There was a lot of weight in the ready. Ray started the car. And my chair's not in, chipped in Eva, Harry's younger sister. What? Lisa exclaimed. She was shocked. Ray furiously untangled himself from his seatbelt, muttering curses and excuses to himself or to the car or to the gate post or to the chair itself, all to the effect that if Harry hadn't stuck his Scrooge mask in some deep, dark recess of the house, he, Ray, wouldn't have forgotten to put Eva's chair in the car. I don't even know why we all have to go anyway. He went on digging in his own irritated groove as he deftly heaved the chair into the back of the car. Lisa turned from soothing to not soothing. I'm going to see our son do his very best at something. That's all. I thought you'd want to do that too. Her voice crackled through the open windows of the car, as frosty as the frost that was crouching, ready to pounce at the moment in the middle of the night when the street would turn out its lights and fall asleep. Eva agreed. I want to see Harry do Scrooge. He's shown me tons of it already. Lisa said, oh well, if he flubs his lines, you can call them out. Eva giggled. He'd never forgive me. Ray got himself behind the wheel again. His tone changed, dropping the irritation and sarcastic whine as he said, I want to see this thing too. I do, but look, you know and I know if we had gotten this material up online over Christmas, the site would increase its traffic by, what? 10%? 20%? But that's fine. I'm coming. Then the old sarcasm cut in again. If my family thinks we can wait, it can wait, witty wait. You always say that, Eva said quietly, spotting the change in Dad's tone. But Ray was working himself up, and nothing was going to stop him now, not even Eva. Hello, hello, can anyone hear me? I'm talking about what pays for all this. He waved in the general direction of everything. The family knew all about Ray's everything. When he waved his everything hand in the air, it could mean the egg they were having for breakfast, the TV, the car, the hoodie that Harry would die for, the beach vacation they took in August, the local neighborhood's offerings of such delights as a Greek diner and a 50s replica ice cream parlor, or the whole world, all of it. And they all had to be grateful. Harry loomed up beside the car. He had the Scrooge mask in his hand. His face looked panicked. Ray slumped forward over the wheel, his jacket stretched like a sausage skin over his shoulders. It's broken, Harry whimpered. I must have. Get in, Lisa said, using the soothing voice again. The most important thing is being on time for the show. The mask comes second. Drive, Ray. Eva looked at the mask. Though she could see the break, she said, It's not too bad, Harry. No one will notice. Harry groaned. Sometimes Mom and Eva being so darn nice and helpful was nearly as bad as Dad being sarcastic. Ray eased into gear. But Harry looked at the mask with despair. Lisa flicked her fingers. Harry passed it to her. She ran an expert hand over the cracked part just below the eye, dug around in her bag, pulled out some robust-looking white tape, and, as the car headed off and down the road with the headlights pouring over the newsstand on the left, the barber's and the drugstore on the right, she neatly stuck it together. Eva looked sideways at her mom. Their faces lit, then darkened as the car shot past the street lamps. The white tape that solves everything. Eva remembered how proud she had been when, at school, they were talking about the jobs their parents did, and she had said, My mom's an assistant director. She tells actors where to stand and sticks bits of tape on the floor to mark where their feet go. Lisa tucked the roll of tape back into her bag. Now this is an interesting book because it's not broken into chapters, but it does show a little bit of a scene change here. I'm going to read a little bit more though so you can get a little bit of a better idea of the story. In truth, Harry wasn't as late as the ghost of Christmas past, who said he was late because he had to come all the way from the past to the present. No one laughed at that, least of all Harry, who was by now nervous times 4. He was nervous because he was worried about his lines, nervous about whether he was any good at saying the lines, nervous about whether his mask would fall apart, nervous about whether Dad would think it was worth coming. On the way home later, would Dad talk on and on about how the show wasn't all that good and how it would have been better if he had done some work? The pre-show chatter was building to the level of the playground after a pop quiz. Mascara wands were passing from hand to hand, umbrellas, Victorian shawls, top hats, and pewter mugs were being gripped and twisted. The street sellers, Rory, Sunil, Creighton, Rashida, Stefan, and Desolé, were pitching their laughter up to the level of cheerleaders, stirring up a crowd. Even in the midst of his nerves, Harry knew he loved this excitement. Stefan and Desolé looked like they had a thing going, but everyone had been saying that for months now. Rashida, serious Rashida, who was always the first to stop anyone from goofing around in class, had turned into some kind of fireball. The show seemed to have made her just slightly crazy, Harry thought. Miss Cavani had recruited Rory, Sunil, and Creighton from the basketball team. She had barged into the Monday night practice announcing that she needed 3 kids who could move and shout. That's what you have been doing for the last 5 minutes. Perfect. There was something about the way Miss Cavani said things that made everyone do what she asked. Off went the floppy jerseys with the big numbers on the back. On went the black Victorian gear. But they were still being all slam dunk and high fives right now. Harry smiled to himself behind his mask. Miss Cavani clapped her hands. Breathing, remember, in and 1, 2, 3, and 4, out, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. As she breathed in, her eyes gleamed and her chest expanded. The laughter and hugging subsided. Through the door of the offstage classroom G29, which Miss Cavani insisted on calling the green room, she caught sight of Harry peeking at the audience. Come away from the curtain, Harry. They'll see your eyes staring out at them, kiddo. We want them to be scared by the show, but not by your eyeball. A snicker snaked through the cast. The now quiet street sellers silently reassured each other with touched fists. Harry ducked back in. He loved being chewed out by Miss Cavani. He had spotted Mom, Dad, and Eva. It had been easy. Dad had his cell phone on, and the light lit up the frown on his face. And I'm going to stop there because what's happening now is they're going to go right into the play, and it's written like a play. And then you're going to hear some intermittent things going on that Harry thinks about and how his dad comes to term with some things that are on his mind and on his heart. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll think about checking this book out. I got this at my public library. They actually didn't have it there, but when I requested it, they are able to go to a neighboring library and get it for you. So if you don't see it in your library and you want it, be sure to ask. So I hope that you'll join me next week. We're going to continue with our December picks. I have one more Christmas book, and I also have 2 Hanukkah books coming for you. So I hope you'll be joining me. And until then, happy reading, and I'll see you next Friday.